journey life here in around that Sydney sort of area. We are, of course, here with day number 1, the only day of our. I almost said ESL of Asia because it's Sunday. Of the Oceania Rest of Asia DreamHack Masters Winter Close Qualifiers. And we're starting it off with our boy. I am, of course, host Yaku of Zaku, and with me today is El Rey de los Transatlánticos en un tren y tu trasero está en las vías pegado con super pegamento. Light_VIP. How we doing, Light?
What's up, Yaku? Yes, we are back here for the second time today. Earlier, we were here casting DreamHack North America, and now we are back with DreamHack Oceania. Oh boy, and hopefully history will repeat itself, because this morning, our boy Patty Mac was able to qualify. It was a hard-fought battle. It was rough. It was scary. It was not through the upper bracket. It was through the lower bracket, but we'll see what happens here as we are diving into our first series of the day, of the broadcast.
Of the broadcast. Yeah, fun fact, I woke up, I saw Patty Mac already qualified, and then I went back to sleep.
You're like, my job is done.
Well, my people need me, question mark. As we kick things off here on 2000 Atmospheres LE, over here in the top right-hand corner, map spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have the Red Zerg player coming down from the land of Britain, but going to be representing the New Zealand. He is, of course, going to be representing Love Oz, specifically old mate Sheldon. He is RiSky.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the CranKy Duckling himself representing, hailing from the land of Australia, the blue Protoss player. It is StarDuck.
The man with no fear at all. We told him, yo, StarDuck, your match is out. You're facing RiSky in the first round, dude. That's gotta be intimidating. And he's like, oh, that means I can sneak in a couple Kerrigan survival games before I have to play.
I can confirm that throughout literally the entirety of the DreamHack NA broadcast, he was playing non-stop Kerrigan survival too.
Right. From the start?
From the start, yeah. He was awake.
Of DreamHack, he was. Yeah, that's, I guess, the better question I should have asked. He was awake?
Yeah, I don't know if he's slept at all since last night. Oh. Yeah. I was like, yo, do you want to jump on and cast? Yeah, after this game. And then I never heard from him again. He just kept casting. He just kept playing.
Mate. Well, yeah, you were already in the middle of game number 2 when he jumped into, as he was finishing up his first game. So I was like, well, I may as well wait by playing another game. And then it just kept going.
There you go. Kept going. It just kept on going, and it kept on going, and it kept on going, and
it don't stop going.
And speaking of, we are here in our first series of the day, and things are kicking off in this PvZ a little bit. We did see StarDuck being a little bit annoying here, delaying this natural, and it's one of those things where, mate, I haven't casted RiSky since
a year.
Yeah,
a year ago, probably.
The last time was probably the B stream of DreamHack 2020.
Yeah, I remember that. RiSky versus Ender was definitely very hype.
Yeah. I haven't been able to cast him against a Protoss player. Obviously, he did play one to qualify. He played versus Pez in the qualifiers. Unfortunately, that was we were unable to catch that, right? So we don't really know what happened there in that series.
Yeah. He eventually also beat Quantel later on 3-1, and we got to catch a little bit of a tail end of that. RiSky showing off a bit of a more patient CVP style, more than willing to allow his opponent to get up to the late game sky toss if it means that he can establish map dominance and expand as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's something that could definitely happen here in this series. I know that StarDuck did watch that match of RiSky's, and I know that he has been, again, like, working on his own builds here and what he would have to offer to RiSky. Like, he may not be playing as much StarCraft, but he's definitely thinking about it. He's definitely watching VODs. He's definitely, you know, again, like, putting some time, thought, and effort into it. But is it going to be enough?
He really is the ideal Protoss player, isn't he?
Whoa, what does that mean?
All of his preparation involves using his brain. And none of his hands.
Oh boy, oh boy. we'll see what he has to offer here. You know what? I appreciate this. He is going for that second Stargate. He is going to go for that Sky Toss, at least here in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I honestly would be a little bit surprised if StarDuck does decide to switch out into something more gateway focused or even getting Robo Facility out. He does like his Stargates, but it's an option for him. We'll see how much he dedicates to... Oh, I say that as he's getting +1 air weapons.
Yep. This is just full-on Skytoss with double Stargate Void Ray production, as well as that Forge. And you know what that Forge is for?
Shields.
There you go.
Upgrades. No, it's mostly just going to be for cannons, which you can get away with here on 2,000 atmospheres. It's not as turtly as something like Romanticide or even Oxide. But there are a lot of choke points that you can try to wall off as a Protoss player and just try to prevent your Zerg opponent from coming in. Problem is, though, once RiSky scouts this, I can't imagine he'll be too displeased. Because, again, he doesn't mind being patient in this matchup.
Exactly. There is a difference, though. Again, like, we were critical of Quantel back in his series, right? Like, he didn't necessarily have the ideal Protoss army that you want. Against RiSky, it felt like, you know, there was much to be desired, and I want to believe in StarDuck's decision-making when it comes down to that at the end of the day. Also, just touching on, like, StarDuck and what he's able to do. Shout out to Peppy in the chat. As Peppy is one of those ANZ Zerg players who did defeat StarDuck in a best of series in ANZ Champs. But I mean, Peppy knows as well as anyone, StarDuck, that series, you know, he was trying out other things. He was going for like disruptor openings into disruptor drops and stuff like that. And yeah, we saw how that worked out for him.
I'm sure Peppy feels honored. Knowing that he was StarDuck's guinea pig in that series. Feels bad, man.
You say that, man. It was StarDuck who was the guinea pig. It was just, still not. Oh, God.
It really was.
But, yeah, speaking of, third Stargate is on the way. Oh, my. And StarDuck is committed to get Flux Veins.
Interesting. So, yeah, focusing a lot more on his Void Rays for now, not jumping immediately into carriers that we see from a lot of Protoss players in PvZ. StarDuck rather wants to be very active here and try to deny these bases that RiSky would want to get.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting some deja vu flashbacks, by the way, because this morning, I know you were asleep at the time, there was a 15-minute ZVP that did happen, and it was awful.
15 or 50?
50. Yeah, it was a 50-minute.
50?
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't make it to the hour mark. The players could have if they wanted to, but they gave up and just decided to like throw their armies at each other. And they still had like a 20k bank, but they just GG'd.
Are you telling me that they just tied? Was that a Pilly game?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. They tried to appeal for a tie to the admin, but the admin wouldn't have it because they both had massive banks. So they just again just tapped out. DreamHack
like on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Pretty much. So yeah.
whoever the game decides tapped out first is the loser.
Oh my God.
Rays with so much prismatic alignment will be able to take out that 4th base and immediately dip away. That's the power of Flux Veins.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. And now he's starting to snowball a little bit because, yo, where are all the queens? They're on the way, but the creep was not connected and they're going to be slowed down because of it.
Yeah, and they are all the queens that have high energy on them too. Transfuse, not quite there. RiSky. His attention is elsewhere for now.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of elsewhere, there was a massive Ravager. Oh my God. The Biles? Oh! Okay.
Oh, I was hoping the Biles would land on those Void Rays.
Yeah, same. I was hoping it was timed out that way. But honestly, like that was pretty insane because StarDuck was able to deal with all that damage, snipe a base, kill all those queens, and recall in time to save his base.
There's almost 5 probes behind all of this.
Yeah.
There. Let me just check the units last tab here, and yep, a lot of that did come down to the fact that StarDuck was already fortifying that base. Those Ravagers could have done a lot, but again, StarDuck hitting with his Void Rays when he did pull RiSky's attention away. He had to focus on 2 things at once, and unfortunately those Ravagers were moved into cannons and shield batteries.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the second time this game, the queens were caught off creep, and again, RiSky was in the middle of moving his entire army here towards the bottom right to hit this base with a queen works Ravager push, but the queens were forced up, and then they're forced down, and now, yeah, and now RiSky is forced to just transition and try to hit another area. This is great though. Again, StarDuck only has a single shield battery and 2 cannons here at his 3rd base, as opposed to the 4th, which is much more fortified. And I feel like RiSky has identified that, and now it's go time.
He moves his Void Rays away. No. Okay, thankfully he does have Flux Veins, so.
He does.
Jesus, I feel like I've underestimated the power of Flux Veins.
Well, this
like, I always knew it was a really good upgrade to get if you want to be active with Void Rays, if you want to be sniping bases and whatnot. It's also really good to have a mobile defense.
Yeah, so again, this is something that has been becoming a little bit more popular recently. Meanwhile, no, it wasn't a whole position. Oh my god, Funada, that Zealot, Funada started off for this massive link run by going into his main base. But we've been talking about like different kinds of ways to go into Sky Toss, and there are some players who go like double Stargate Void Ray into charge lots or into disruptors, and this is one where you just get a 3rd Stargate and then you go Flux Veins and you just make nothing but Void Rays. So you lack that slash
Stargate.
Yeah, so you lack that splash damage and you lack the Zealots, but instead you make up for it with Void Rays.
Really is that meme all over again. Only Void Rays. But he is transitioning to more of a sophisticated late game Protoss army, getting some carriers in, but this is... It's a composition that is odd because of how not weird it is. Void Rays and carriers. You think that something is missing there. I mean, you were mentioning it. You were foregoing your splash damage, which by all means in a PvZ should be something that your opponents can take advantage of. And RiSky is getting a ton of infestors to take advantage of that lack of feedbacks and what have you. But this can actually work out pretty well for StarDuck, assuming he can control his Void Rays well enough.
It can, and it's one of those things where I'm sure he's going to refine his army as the game progresses. I'm sure eventually he does want some High Templar. He wants for not just Storms, but also those feedbacks, as you were saying. Meanwhile, ooh, nice smile!
Oh, just 2 more Biles.
Exactly, that's all that was needed, but it was not there. But yeah, I'm sure, again, you know, this army will eventually evolve over time, but right now, these are the Void Rays that rule the skies. The Ravagers are going down, the Infestors need to be repositioned, they have a lot of energy, they're getting ready for those Fungals.
For it. A bit of a pre-split here with the Void Rays, but now they're starting to come into position. Really good Biles, and even better, I almost said Pneumatized Carapace. Not Parasitic Bomb.
Microbial Shroud.
Microbial Shrouds, there we have it.
I got you, buddy, I got you. But you know what? The carriers are going unheated. Like, again, like, sure, there's all these Biles, again, trying to hunt down these Void Rays, but the carriers are just going ham.
Oh, they do get bodied a little bit here. The Interceptors are finally starting to go down, but there's still about 3 or 4 carriers with full Interceptors. Looks like StarDuck is breaking on through here. The Infestors are out of energy, and the ones that do have energy left are so vulnerable and so exposed.
Man, you were talking about like, yo, we got some Biles on the carriers, mate. There were no Biles on the Interceptors.
That's really the thing, yeah.
And the anti-air were only Queens with Microbial Shroud, and they were doing the best they could to try and focus down Void Rays of all things. The Interceptors just went ham. That is a lair, and mate, that's
a location.
That's gonna be a dead lair, mate. He doesn't even care, mate. He's just going for it.
That he is. He does need to deal with the Corruptors very, very soon, though. There aren't too many Void Rays out right now. RiSky can try to fight this air army, but here comes the Stalker transition.
Yeah, boy. We were like, yo, this Stalker, this Protoss army is just pure Void Ray into Stalkers. It really is just, again, primal Protoss. It's disgusting.
GG is called in StarDuck. Takes game number 1 with Sky Toss. The style he
Gee.
likes to play.
Yeah, GG. Again, a different style that we haven't necessarily seen all that much from StarDuck, but at least here it worked in game 1 versus RiSky, man.
Now let's see if it works in game number 2. Or if he pulls something a little bit different off. RiSky is definitely a very adaptable player. I feel like he will be able to take these couple of minutes here as we get into game number 2 and think, okay, what really went wrong for me in that game? Well, I didn't have a lot of anti-air. I was a little distracted because of the Void Rays coming in. I didn't have my creep all connected. I just need to, position my queens a little bit more defensively, a little bit more carefully, and it should be fine.
Yeah, like you could definitely argue that RiSky's transition into Corruptors was very late. Like, unfortunately, he was maxed out with Ravager Queen Infestor, and he was trying to, again, get a better army going, but things really popped off real quick. And yeah, with that,
Really
StarDuck is able to take the first game of this series, and now we are looking to dive into game numero dos.
Sí.
Oh boy, oh boy.
I have to wonder what StarDuck has planned here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna be honest, I was kind of anticipating I'm kind of anticipating a couple of gateway all-ins sprinkled in here and there, but since he's already up 1-0 in his best of 3, I feel like he's just going to go with the whole, if it ain't broke, don't break it kind of shtick and go for another Stargate style. I'm hoping triple oracles, but who knows?
We'll see, we'll see. Shout out to Caesar in the chat, RiSky trying to ravage the scene.
I get it.
Little does he know, Void Rays, man.
Ravagers.
Little does he know. Oh god.
Little did he know that StarDuck would be trying to void the scene? Question mark? Is that how it
There
works?
you go. Yeah, redacted.
That comes up every time we ask StarDuck how he's been preparing, isn't it? As we learn into game number 2 here, it is going to be Oxide LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, sweating all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the red Zerg player coming down from the land of New Zealand, as well as Brotan. He is going to be representing old mate Sheldon here. Look at that. Fantastic picture of him in it. He loves Oz. He is RiSky.
And sporting in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the Australian Protoss player representing the CranKy Ducklings. It is StarDuck. I also love how Seath is trying to learn how to Funada and then he Funada'd himself. It's great. It's beautiful. Oh god.
Let El Profesora teach you a thing or two. Funada.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for him to be in the chat, right? Again, his boy RiSky is playing here. C3 is a part of this game.
He is. He's giving him that energy, that Tarkov energy.
Well, nowadays, it's Age of Empires 4, man.
It is, yeah. But I gotta be honest, if you're not playing Terran, do you want that Tarkov energy?
True. It's a very good point. We'll see.
Yeah, the reason why it works so well for Seether is because he becomes one with the man with gun. But if you don't have man with gun, then is it a benefit?
Yeah, unfortunately, Blizzard did take away Infested Terran, so Zerg just doesn't have it at all.
Feels bad, man.
Feels bad. Meanwhile, as we get into this game, I doubt we're going to see that same composition from StarDuck here in Game 2. We'll see. It could be something where he does it again just to see and test the waters if RiSky knows how to counter it. Or we could just see a different variation of it here from StarDuck.
Yeah. Oxide is a fairly similar map to 2000 atmospheres, but you do have a couple of key differences. For one,
Mhm.
the potential fourth bases are a little bit more exposed, but
Mhm.
on the flip side, the third bases are a little bit easier to fortify. So you get third bases, that triangular third that RiSky is getting means that he is prime for going for some kind of a roach timing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because of this third, like, I would be hesitant for StarDuck to go into, like, Flux Veins again, right? I feel like Disruptors may be necessary to hold against a Queen or Ravager push because they just hit so much faster on Oxide compared to 2000 Atmospheres. That is why I feel like that was a little bit more map-specific from StarDuck. But we'll see. We'll see where, one, I mean, he even decides to expand and take a third, as it should be over here, his own triangular third.
Whew. Funnily enough, that's actually, despite having more openings, that's actually safer for him right now.
Yeah, it takes a little more creep to get there from this base specifically, right?
Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, though, RiSky just goes straight into the natural base.
Which, again, is preferable for StarDuck. Like, pushing up this ramp, it's a nightmare.
It is.
It's, god. Oh my god, mate, it's already go time. RiSky, he has stopped droning up.
He's not even going for the roaches. Yeah, going for Zergling Queen-ish push. I mean, not too many queens here. It's just to make sure that the Link survive long enough to cancel that third base. Will RiSky have enough to push through the natural base? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, exactly, as these things will force the cancel here on the third and keep StarDuck contained to 2 bases. What do we have to defend? We have a single Void Ray, and, okay, a couple of sentries. Oh god.
Okay, so force fields are definitely going to be invaluable here right now. Not just for keeping them out of the natural base, but also to just deny surface area on top of these buildings. Like so. Shield batteries are popping out right now, and Oracle does come out, but a little bit of a whiff, not prismatic alignment. Stasis ward, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, exactly. It was rated out by a single Ling. We do have a wall of cannons behind this, and the other question is, like, is StarDuck overreacting to this? Because, again, RiSky is droning up.
Well, he's starting to cancel a couple of his defenses. This should be enough of a tell for StarDuck to cancel the rest. The Queen's just making a slow march home, as are all of the Lings. And I'm just looking at the amount of cannons that StarDuck got here, like, this could have been... Okay, cancels one of them.
Yeah. At least
I was just gonna say, these all could be one more Nexus.
Yeah, I mean, this could have been worse. This could have been so much worse for StarDuck when it comes to how much he committed here. Who is going to be forced to kill one of these cannons.
Shield battery on auto target. Oh, he actually has to cancel that.
Yeah, that he does. So some wasted energy there as well. But eventually, StarDuck is looking to expand. The problem is that, again, with all these things, like, it's so difficult to do so.
All these links. We get back in position. StarDuck also did delay his Stargate production a little while. Spanking up quite a bit. Getting to it, Void Rays at a time right now, threw down the Fleet Beacon as well. But as you were saying, the third base is the most important thing right now for StarDuck. He's trying to get it right now, but the Lings are back with a vengeance.
Oh my god, he's double expanding. I love this from StarDuck. We are going to be seeing a cancel. Oh my god, that's a kill, not a cancel. Oh, StarDuck, please. Oh, God. Well, what I will say is that as long as he gets a third up and running, like, I mean, that's probably the most important thing. Like, he desperately needs a third base. It's been so long.
It has been a long time since he had a third base, but I feel like it hasn't been that long since RiSky's initial push, and he's already coming in for round 2. Look at how many queens he's got. These Void Rays are going to be shot out of the sky just like that Oracle. Couple of roaches trying to come in, but I'm not entirely convinced RiSky needs them. The Ravagers will be nice, though.
Yeah, definitely. Like, again, this third base will not finish for StarDuck. StarDuck is actually going across the map with his Void Rays. Oh my god. I mean, he, again, looking to try and snipe a hatchery and then recall back home.
Yeah, I got whatever equalizing damage he can get before he really needs to focus on his defense. I guess maybe he didn't overreact then. He has all these defenses, all these shield batteries are
Oh
coming into
god.
play, but is it gonna be enough? The Roaches and Ravagers have already broken through. Battery overcharge being popped, but it is so exposed, as is the pylon powering that.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things where unfortunately StarDuck was focusing across the map instead of back at home. Because of that, both of his sentries were sniped before they really got any meaningful force fields off, and he wasn't able to slow down this push.
He could try to get the lair, I suppose, and then recall out, but the Queens have come back home. Starting needs to go back now. But even then, what are his prospects looking like as the game continues? Not too great.
Ooh.
He's down 30. GG. There we have it. Guys of the series side with 1-1.
Yeah, GG, well played. RiSky does tie up that series, and I kind of love the way that RiSky played that out. Again, very unorthodox with like the Ling aggression that we saw from him, but like because of how greedy StarDuck is in the early game, like we see that all the time. He makes very minimal units to try to get away with things and get a third, and he was punished for that.
Yeah, it's a problem of cutting as many corners as he did. It is not something I see too often from Zerg players in general, though, going for, I don't even want to call it a timing of Zerglings, right? But just a big, a big Zergling aggression. We see that every now and then in CVP, but pulling the Queens as well, just in case you use some anti-air, that was so committed by RiSky, and it paid off big time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where honestly, like playing like that, if you're gonna do it against anyone, do it against StarDuck. Like it feels very, like very counter. Like it counters just his general play style. Like it was a great build for RiSky to throw out there, especially on Oxide. We'll see what map 3 is going to be. Like I can't imagine it's going to be Romanticide. Like I can't imagine it's going to be one of the larger maps.
Well, you're right though. You are right though. Pilsky isn't here, so it probably won't be Romanticide.
Probably.
I was gonna say, I mean, they both don't mind playing on larger maps, as we've seen in the past, but thankfully Pilsky ain't here, so there's a chance that it won't be Romanticide.
Oh my god. Interesting. Oh, I'm kind of scared.
It is Romanticide, isn't it?
No.
Okay,
if it was I wouldn't be scared if it was Romanticide. Oh boy. Very short rush distance by ground. It is going to be Blackburn made.
Ooh. In theory, Blackburn, a map that you want to favor the Protoss player in, because as you were saying, it's a much shorter rush distance. Ground-based gateway timings and soul trains and whatnot work a lot better on Blackburn, but at the same time, we've seen plenty of Zerg players get away with builds that they just can't do on any other map, and take a cheeky win there.
Yeah.
We'll see if RiSky is one of those Zerg players.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm also curious as to what StarDuck is going to do here, because he is also aware that like going Skytoss can be very like risky on a map like this. So yeah, I was trying to find another word to use and I just don't have the brain power for it, so I just went for it. Yeah. So, oh god, if I recall, I mean, again, I keep bringing this up. In this series against Peppy, he did go for a robo opening here for disruptors. Didn't work out for him at all. He died horribly, in fact. But we'll see.
But as with some time since then, StarDuck, if he's known for anything, it is refining his builds. Well, that's a bit of a lie. StarDuck is
he's known for anything.
For yeah.
Yeah.
He's known for anything. He's known for Kerrigan survival. But he does do very well when it comes to refining his builds, going back to the drawing board. He will look at builds that have never worked, that other players do, that maybe have worked once or another, and be like, actually, but what if we tweak this, and that? Sometimes to his detriment, but hopefully not this one. As we load into Blackburn LE, and over here in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player coming out from the land of New Zealand as well as Britain. He is going to be representing old mate Shelly, as he loves Oz. He is RiSky.
And spawning in.
Zoom into that decal, man.
Of course, every time. Every time.
It gets me every time.
Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have the Australian Protoss player. He is blue, representing the CranKy Ducklings, tied up 1-1 in this best of 3. It all ends here. It is StarDuck.
I support Chase's suggestion here in chat. We call that build Aurora Queen Wakalis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yo, you just reminded me something I've been meaning to do here. The next time you showed up, yo, exclamation mark Funada Chase in the chat, mate. Where were you in the DreamHack qualifiers? You weren't there.
He was keeping the internet stable.
It didn't work.
Oh.
Oh god damn it, Chase. It's been a while since we've seen him here. He wasn't here for the qualifiers. God damn it. Almost as bad as Revenant. Just don't get me started with Revenant, mate. We love you dearly. We love you dearly, Revenant. And Chase as well. As
I'm not. Yep.
Go on.
Yeah, no, as I'm just nodding my head in agreement, but also shaking my head that neither player has gone for the gold base yet.
Yeah, no gold base whatsoever. We do have a Stargate opening here from StarDuck. Oh, thank God. No goddamn Robo here. I'm never gonna let him live it down. It's just not gonna happen. I'm just always gonna remember that. God damn it, StarDuck.
10 years from now, you're gonna bring it up in front of his children.
I will. They will know. Oh God. Yes, tis a Stargate. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that's only going to be a Stargate, though, here from StarDuck. What I mean is, I hope that it's only going to be a single Stargate, because you were mentioning that there is a lot less dead air here that you can take advantage of with Void Rays and whatnot. It's a little bit easier to defend against Oracles and those styles of harass. The bases are just a lot more compact. What the map does lend itself very well to is, as we were talking about, disruptors. Well, ground-based pushes in general, but throw some disruptors in there, especially, that'll be really great. There's a lot less for the Zerg player to, there's a lot less ground for the Zerg player to split to.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where we kind of expect RiSky to go for a Road Ravager Queen push. You know, he tried to kind of do it on 2000 Atmospheres. It was a little bit delayed. It was a little bit more awkward, but it's something that he should be able to accomplish here on a map like this. And I feel like StarDuck is well aware of that, obviously. Like, they do work well. It does work well in this map, and he chose not to veto this map as well. So he's got to be feeling confident. He's got to be feeling a little bit more secure on a map like this, and he's doing it. We're gonna have a third gateway finish up. This guy will be producing as many adepts as he can going across the map. If you recall, this is the same build they did against Crimson in ANZ Champs. Did catch him off guard, Crimson being a little bit too greedy. Then the adept showed up. He's like, wait, what? Glaveless, by the way, Glaveless.
Yeah, not really a heart commitment either way yet, whether it's ground or air. +1 air weapons is on the way though. So yeah, as you were saying, these adepts are almost like the Protoss Mutalisk, aren't they? You get a handful of them to go harass, and if your opponent isn't careful, you completely mess up their mineral line, but it's not what you're basing your main composition on. Void Ray!
StarDuck, please!
About how vulnerable air units can be.
Yeah, and honestly, that just completely shuts down all of the aggression from this, because again, he was looking to try and add his DPS from the Void Ray with these adepts to add to everything, but unfortunately, he left his Void Ray idle, and it's not going to be a part of this fight.
Yeah. The adepts can still get a little bit done, but nowhere near as much as otherwise. Plus, that Void Ray is always something that just draws attention away from the queens, allows the adepts to really get their damage in.
Yeah,
so while
exactly.
this isn't an all-in by any means from StarDuck. This isn't exactly, you know, a build that had to get a lot of damage done, otherwise he's behind, but it was still a very committed harass. He loses every single adept there for only 5 drones.
Yeah, exactly. Ideally, he would have killed a little bit more. He did delay this push, by the way, and all the Lings were busy from RiSky, and it did give StarDuck a lot of time to actually get his third base up and running and start transitioning into his Void Rays. But was it worth it? We'll see. I mean, the Lings do get a bit of a surround on these adepts, but all these Lings will go down.
Yeah, the Oracle pops out right on time, despite there not being any defensive structures by the third base. There is enough damage by the army itself. The queens are marching across the map to deal with the air units, but it's only 3 queens. They have a lot of transfuse energy, but it's only 3. Okay, 2 more joining them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that creep spread is definitely there for RiSky. The queens have finally been scouted by the oracles. Same with these Void Rays, and the shield batteries are on the way. They're not ready yet, though.
Need a little bit more time. I like this from StarDuck. Just delaying the queens for as long as possible while his shield batteries get up and running, while he throws out a couple more cannons. Move away from those queens.
Yeah, and this is so... Okay, thank God. I was so worried for RiSky there. He actually backs off. He doesn't commit to the Queen Walk, otherwise it would have been disastrous for him. Instead, he is transitioning into a Spire. He's still going to be committed into Roaches, glad Reconstitution just finished up, but he will have the option to go into those mutas.
Yeah, if he wants to get some harassment damage done. I feel like the Spire may mostly just be for a couple of Corruptors to deal with the Void Rays in the sky, and then have the bulk of the army be Ravagers and Roaches. Really deal the damage. RiSky took the gold base! You'll love to see it.
RiSky did take the gold, but for how much longer? Because, those Void Rays, they want a hatchery. Whether it's the top left or the center left, he wants something. Ooh, the queens are in position, though.
Very well fortified. Even a Spore Crawler right in the middle of all those queens. There's no way StarDuck can take out that base right now. Backs away. Hasn't checked the upper left corner yet, though. Doesn't know that there's going to be a base there.
Yeah, it doesn't know that there is a 5th on the way for RiSky, so StarDuck backs off, takes his own gold, but 14 mutas are on the way, and again, the Spire has not been scattered whatsoever. We do have some cannons and shield batteries, but again, they're not necessarily in position to defend against mutas. The main is, not the natural or the third.
Yeah. But I tell you what, Fluxvane's finished up on these Void Rays, so they can get a lot more done. He's avoiding those slow zones, which could be to his detriment. That said, I feel like I want to favor these Void Rays against these Mutalisks right now. The Mutas are in low enough numbers. There is +1 in the Void Rays.
The problem is that RiSky, he's going to be hitting with his ground army towards the third base and his Mutas into the main. The Void Rays can only be at one place at a time, so damage will be done somewhere.
That it shall. Even with the shield battery, there is going to be enough damage here on the Mutalist to one-shot the probes. He's actually going to take out that Artosis pile, empowering the Stargate. Things have gone from bad to worse here for StarDuck.
Yeah.
And the Roach Ravager push is going to be the final nail in the coffin, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Mutas are going to wreak havoc in the main base. Meanwhile, the Voiders will try and defend here at the third. The cannons are depowered. There's only one shield battery. Overcharge was already wasted, and GG gets called. RiSky takes the series 2-1.
Where's my button? Why is it so connected to my earbuds? Well played.
Yeah, GG. Honestly, I'm surprised that StarDuck was able to take a game.
You say that, but I am as well.
Yeah. I'm happy that he did. I'm very happy that he did. He did make it as close as possible. Went all the way to the ace match. And with this, RiSky will move on to a qualifying match. But, you know, do not fret if you are a StarDuck fan. He gets knocked down to the lower brackets. I'm sure we're going to see more of him later on tonight.